points. And time now for the Scouting Report with assistant coach Tim Fanning, who is with Spencer.
Coach, you and the staff have talked about stacking good days. Now you're stacking wins. You've got 2 in a row. What have you noticed in change in demeanor in your team now that you're building some confidence?
I think we're all just figuring out what's working and what's not working, especially at the Big 12 level, and kind of leaning into the stuff that's working. And that goes from practice, and then obviously the last couple games we've had some really good minutes.
I know you don't want to divulge all the specifics, but what are some of those things that are working right now?
Look, I think the pace, just playing faster is something that's been helpful for us. I think maybe shifting a little bit more towards like some off-screen stuff offensively, and then figuring out the combinations that are working, guys that are playing well together and that type of stuff.
Making three-pointers certainly helps, and you've done a bunch of that against Colorado and Cincinnati in those 2 wins. What do you attribute the uptick in three-point shooting to?
I think it's those things. I think it's the pace. I think us playing faster, we're finding stuff early in the offense, and then some of the ways that we're creating those threes. I think we're finding stuff that's more effective the last week or two maybe than a month or 2 ago that was working in the preseason, but then the defense in the Big 12 is a juggernaut. There's really great defensive teams that have taught us a lot about ourselves, and we're going against one tonight also in Baylor. So
let's talk about Baylor.
Yeah.
If you were to give somebody the miniature scouting report on the Bears and what they'll bring to the floor tonight, what would that entail?
I think the switching defense is probably the thing that we're most kind of dialed in on. Just, they're a team that likes to switch on defense. They got great length, and then they have versatility defensively also, both in their personnel and in their scheme. So I think that's something that we're kind of dialed in on trying to attack them well.
They're a team that has outstanding guard play. We heard that Love and Roach are day-to-day. Not sure if they're going to play tonight, leaning that they probably won't. So how do you prepare knowing or not knowing who's actually going to be on the floor?
Yeah, I think the reality with all these rosters is there's guys on their benches that maybe haven't played the minutes that they've wanted to, and they're chomping at the bit. So I think you have to go into this game kind of ready for anything and full respect for the opponent. And at the end of the day, us trying to play well, which I think we've done the last 2 games probably better than any stretch all year of us playing great BYU basketball on both ends of the court. So I think kind of having that mentality of awareness and respect for who we're playing against, but at the end of the day, we got to come out and play great basketball, and so I think we're trying to balance those 2 things constantly, and especially tonight in a situation where Baylor's roster is a little bit moving target.
You seem to be getting healthy as a roster overall. Certainly a huge point of emphasis is getting Yegor Demian and Cannon Catchings back with some confidence. That appears to be happening. What has changed for those 2 players?
Look, I think it's just the reality of being a rookie in the Big 12. You know what I mean? Of being a young player, playing against juniors last year, both of those guys, I was with Cannon, and obviously I'm very familiar with where Yegor came from in terms of playing in Spain at the youth level, and now you're going into a Big 12 conference, and you got 22, 23-year-olds, guys that are really experienced. So I think some of that, as much as we tried to prepare them, sometimes you got to go through that type of stuff to really, kind of as we're doing as a team, figure out what works, what doesn't work, how you're going to put your fingerprints on the game. And I think those 2 guys have really, they've gone through a little bit of struggles early part of this conference season, and I think they're ready to take steps forward that we saw last game, and I'm excited to see what they got, because I think both of those guys are really just scratching the surface, as are we as a team.
A couple of quick hitters to finish. How would you defend Richie Saunders?
Oh man, that's a tough. Try to get him in foul trouble so he's not on the court, because the dude is he's really he's in a great moment right now. He's very versatile offensively, and he's got a quick trigger.
How would Tim Fanning fare in this BYU offense?
Oh man, I think I would be hoping that they didn't pay attention to me and finding a little opening in the corner. And if I got any daylight, I'm letting that thing fly, man.
I like the approach. Coach, we appreciate the time and the insight into the matchup. Thank you.
Yep.